Hello and welcome to the Pisces subscriber, because this is your Pisces August 2020 tarot reading, and it's great to see you back again this month. Of course, I've had the great pleasure of meeting a few of you personally, haven't I, during the course of the last month for one-on-one clairvoyant readings. And if you would like a personal reading with me, just check out the information that's in the description box below, and that will show you how easy it is for that to occur. Now, next month's reading will be published on the 12th of August, Wednesday the 12th of August at 2 p.m. New York time, if you want to make a note of it, but I will pin a comment to the top of the comments section so you can come back during the month and just check that that is the case. So you'll know when it's coming through, but as a subscriber, of course, it will be coming directly through to you, so you'll have no need to worry. Now, a number of people have asked me, what is that artwork which is behind me on the wall when I do my readings? Well, we can have a quick look at it like this. Interesting, isn't it? Well, anyway, let's get your Pisces August 2020 tarot reading underway. Now, I'm going to pull 5 tarot cards for you because, as you as a subscriber know, 5 is all we need because each card is jam-packed with information. And we have a very different approach to tarot here, don't we? It's different. It's good. Now, there's the 3 of Swords with a lovely butterfly on it. Now, I think you might appreciate the artwork on here. There's the 1 of Swords. The artwork on this is original artwork, as in having been painted. I'm not a great fan of the computer-generated decks that you see out there. In fact, I don't have any computer-generated decks. I like original artwork that's been done by an artist with a paintbrush and a palette of paints, just as this has been. What did I say that was? The 1 of Swords, otherwise known as the Ace. And this deck, I actually obtained it directly from the artist in, this is the 4 of Cups. Untying the mask, probably. I think, well, you have a few masks in your closet, don't you? And there's nothing wrong with that. Yes, I got it directly from the artist in Colorado. I can't recall where it was, but I was quite taken by the work, and so I thought, well, I'll get this deck. You probably won't see it anywhere else. There's Strength, the Major Arcana, number 11. Otherwise known as, I get a great, I won't go into it now, we'll do it in just a second. Yes, you probably won't see much of this deck anywhere, which is probably something of a shame because the artwork is really quite beguiling. There is the 10 of Cups. Anyway, you beguiling Pisces. The Pisces woman is extremely beguiling, I find. Now, let's, why don't I bring the camera around? You can have a good close look at these cards and the artwork on them while I do the reading for you. Okay, I'm going to start with this 3 of Swords. Now, the 3 of Swords usually has some degree of melancholy or sorrow attached to it, but I'm not concerned about it in this deck because Strength is underpinning it here, and you'll see why when I get to the Strength card. There's also a 1 of Swords on the same line, which will resolve anything that comes up with this 3. But it's come out first, and I guess it's come out for a reason. 3s can often relate to triangular relationships, or not necessarily triangular romantic relationships, but where there's third parties getting involved, or you can see third parties involved in things. And I think what we see here is that, and of course you can change your point of view when a third person gets involved in something which has been involved with just 2 people. Because just as the butterfly goes from one flower to another, gathering nectar from each one of them, you can move from one point of view to another, gathering insight, gaining a more inclusive perspective, and becoming freer. This is true whether the different points of view are being said by different people or are being kept inside them. You always have a choice about how to look at something. As Shakespeare said in the play Hamlet, Act 2, Scene 2, Hamlet says, There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. And noticing that you are stuck in a familiar thought pattern and stepping back again to gain a larger perspective is really helpful, you know. If you find yourself in a painful situation, remember that difficult situations can be great teachers. I mean, when have you ever learned anything from something which has just gone swimmingly well? Perhaps this is part of an initiation. Now, you might know that in folklore and fairy tales, a person must undergo usually 3 tests to overcome 3 obstacles as part of their growth. So maybe look for ways, any current hardships that you might feel are around, how they can serve a higher purpose. See if you can step back and take a higher point of view, almost step back and watch yourself in the movie and wonder how you're going to deal with this. What are you going to do to make sure that you overcome things and to make sure that you triumph and continue going forward? Let the butterfly symbolize for you the movement from an earlier, denser form to a lighter, freer way of being. Yes, as I say, I'm not so concerned about this. The astrology is Saturn in the 2nd decan of Libra, the 3rd to the 12th of October, but Saturn is exalted in Libra, and so we can expect some good things to be done. The suit of swords, I suppose, is difficult to start with, and sometimes Saturn comes in to apply its hard lessons on Libra's desire for relationships, and sometimes sorrow or melancholy can be a natural event that we all have to go through at some point. Libra is also associated with justice, and so there is a sort of a karma effect here. There's a link of melancholy or sorrow in a karmic cause and effect. But the thing to remember, of course, in this card is that it's swords, which is thoughts. And do you know, what you imagine is always far worse than anything ever is. What you worry about never comes out the way that you envision. And I think what this is doing here, and particularly underpinned by the Strength card, as I say, is that this energy is really asking you to make clear, unequivocal decisions. Only in this way can any lost balance, which is this Libra aspect that I see to this card, only in that way can it be regained. And I guess you have to ask yourself, what decisions are difficult for you to make or to face? And remember always that every problem contains its own solution. But I will deal with this because the solution is at hand and it's on the same line. And it's moving this way. So don't be concerned. Things are going to work out okay. And as they say in the classics, you're going to live happily ever after. Now this talks about what? Point of origination. The One of Swords, as this is expressed. Now, isn't it an interesting painting? Really, if we look at it, there is a sound wave coming out of a flute. Just as sound organizes patterns manifested in the physical plane, so do your thoughts. And just as sound spirals out from a point of emanation, your thoughts spiral out from the source point. Now the bones, which are down here in the foreground, as you can see them down there, I think, they really represent, I think, what has gone, what has passed away, what is no longer the case, the past. And you might see these black things in silhouette here. Well, these are people. They're sitting in a sort of a council, perceiving new ideas blowing in from the wind and contemplating how to bring them into form. I think what this card is pointing to for you is a moment of conception, both in the sense of conceiving new life and in terms of conceiving new possibilities. And like the council of people that's sitting around down here, you will want to contemplate how to bring these possibilities into form. You are going to have a moment of clarity. It's a breakthrough. Those things which have been troubling you, which have been in your mind, any melancholy, you're going to smash through that and come onto back onto a good train of thought. What is important, of course, is to identify the foundation underlying what those melancholic thoughts might have been, and you may discover that you really were building a house that was built on quicksand, you know, that it doesn't really exist, and I'm sure it doesn't. I think that this is also saying that this is a time when your way of thinking about something is shifting in an important way. Now give time to this. How you conceptualize things has a profound effect on your own experience of your well-being. Yeah, and you may do a bit of spending a bit of retail therapy perhaps to get over things, who knows. But get over them you will, because I see some degree of self-satisfaction or satisfaction coming into you here. Now this is called untying the mask. Well, what do I get from this thing, untying the mask? Quite an interesting painting, isn't it? Well, look, we all want to have a self that we can be proud of or feel good about, don't we? And when we get disconnected from our own basic goodness because of negative feedback from half-wits in our environment, we may try to make up for that by developing an image of who we want to be or think we should be. We then try to support and maintain this image by developing certain personas and masks, don't we? I mean, I think everybody does that. But the more false the persona, the more support it takes to maintain it. And I suppose the psychologists among you would say that this leads to an unhealthy narcissism where you require constant adoration to keep the image in place, feeling empty underneath and wanting desperately to protect your image. You react angrily when somebody challenges it. When you can accept yourself with your imperfections, realizing that you don't have to be better than others all the time, then you can be more authentic. It also happens if you remember that negative feelings you are keeping at bay, they are just only feelings. It's not reality. When you are more objective about yourself, you are less in the throes of these negative self-images. And I think this is sort of saying to you that what is the mask you have developed? What is the mask that you have developed? What is the persona that you have created? Just make sure, look, there's nothing wrong, I don't think, with having masks. There's nothing wrong with having personas. We all have a mask when we deal with, if we go out on a date, or if we meet a relative, or if we're in a work environment, or if we're dealing with a customer. We all have different masks. We grab for these masks in situations where we think we have to fulfill certain expectations. And in fact, if we don't, then there's something wrong with us, to be frank. But the problem is not so much having this persona available, but getting so lost in it that you lose touch with all the other aspects of yourself. This is, in this position here in the center, the moon in the third decan of Cancer. This is the lord of blended pleasure for me. Now, in ordinary astrology, the moon rules Cancer, which is a good strength of the card. But I think that you need to be careful of just settling for what you have. Be careful of any inertia during this time, and be careful of not appreciating those things that you do have. And I think what this energy is also saying is just make sure that you don't have any unrealistic expectations with respect to things that you want. And an unrealistic expectation is like, oh, look, I just want something, but without actually having an action plan. Do this, do this, do this, do this, which actually takes you from where you are to the thing that you want to have. A realistic action plan that you can put into practice and deal with. Now, it's possible that you may, for a moment, feel sort of bored or dissatisfied with your life. Maybe you've become too familiar with your environment, and I guess in this lockdown period, there's a lot of people who have done. Sometimes you might feel a lack of motivation. Well, seek some new goals. And sometimes what can happen, as I say, I mentioned retail therapy here, is that we can look for material things to provide us with happiness, but they are really a temporary pleasure. Because what they do is they mask a feeling of discontent. And the temporary pleasure can be replaced by the fact that, well, I've just bought this handbag, or I've bought these shoes, or I've bought this cell phone, and then a few weeks later you go, I hate it. Why did I spend the money on it? So the thing is to look underlying at yourself and understand the real person that you are. You are being here given much love and devotion. So enjoy it. Enjoy it. And ask yourself, actually, are you in any relationship in which you feel restricted? Are you expressively devoted to someone? And if there are problems which come on with things, it might be the time to, with relationships, it might be the time to press on and to move into other areas, I think. Let's have a look at this Ten of Cups, which might talk about that, because it's also in the suit of water. And here is the 10. 10 energy gets very unstable, you know. See, this is about to devolve into the One of Swords. See, I think that you are actually going to be full. You are going to be full of emotional satisfaction. This period passes and you end up being full, even to the extent that you may think that you are too full of happiness. But let's have a look at this painting, and here a woman floats in the ocean with a dolphin nearby. She is at home in the watery environment, just as you are. And she's at home in the watery environment of the emotional and spiritual realms. This woman is not afraid to get wet and feels free in the undulating nature of her emotional body. Her flowing nature is mirrored by the dolphin, I think, which represents a sort of a right brain intelligence. Have you heard of that? Left brain, very practical, right brain, more intuitive. Well, dolphins are playful animals that emit, in my experience, healing energy. And this seashell that's here, this sort of nautilus-shaped spiral shell, represents unfoldment. And together, these things all these aspects, they all portray a feeling of comfort, contentment, and mastery in the watery worlds of emotion and intuition, as well as with the dynamic flow inherent in this territory. Now, you might be interested to know that the astrology of this, for me, given where the card is down here, and with this One of Swords above it and the Four of Cups there, I actually have your sign showing up here, and I have Mars ruling the third decan of Pisces, that 9th to the 19th of March. This is really perfected, the Lord of perfected success. But Mars in Pisces, well, Mars is disruptive, isn't it? And it can sometimes conflict with the peaceful Pisces. But there is satisfaction here, fulfillment radiating. Sometimes this fulfillment radiating can relate to the
a fleeting sort of happiness, which is short-lived and which has lost its ability to continue to fulfill you, like consumer things. Well, we were just talking about that with this Four of Cups, where we go and buy something, we think it'll make us happy, but then we get bored and we moved on to the next thing. Now, this 10, we did also have this, and it does come up in this card, whereby in a relationship setting, it could relate to the loss of pleasure in what the relationship brings. And therefore, you either have to alter the dynamic of the relationship or move away from it. And that doesn't just mean to say it's a romantic relationship, but it could also be a work relationship or some other interconnection with somebody or a number of people. And I don't think it's a question of you not being happy, of you not being satisfied, but you're full. It's, if you can imagine a bucket with water being poured into it, water is happiness and fulfillment. Then when the bucket is full, it doesn't matter how much more water you pour into it, it goes over the sides. And so you've really, the bucket, if you can imagine a bucket that's full, what it's saying is that you've really come to the end of what something has to offer. But I would say, though, to let things develop by themselves, because everything is coming to you at the right moment. Close your eyes, breathe deeply and calmly, and let a picture arise in you which shows you in a state of complete fulfillment. And then repeat it and connect with this feeling more and more, and connect it with your reality, and understand this, that there is a great degree of emotional passion and vitality here. But this can sometimes be fleeting, because as the 10, the energy is getting very weak and it's a long way away from the ace. But life is going to give you all that you need to be happy. Now let's have a look at this card finally, the Strength card. Having dealt with the air cards and with the water cards, now we have the Major Arcana. And it's said to be moving from the core. Well, that may well be so, but let's see, what does it say for you? Strength. Well, strength is potency, isn't it? It is the ability to meet what is difficult and to act in alignment with your values. When you speak from truth and are in alignment with that truth, then everybody else around you feels it. Your presence is big, like a mountain, and people can sense your solidity and integrity. Now, this mountain presence is very much like the pyramids that are pictured in the background of this painting here. The pyramid is, I suppose, the most stable physical form. Having a stable base like this allows you to extend yourself in quite daring ways. Now, a lot of the attention, of course, here is with this woman that's in the foreground, and it looks like she's belly dancing, which is the perfect expression of a more complementary model of strength. Belly dancing is a demanding discipline executed in a fluid way. It combines a toned body, which is the more masculine principle of form, with the more feminine, which is the principle of surrender. Now, this woman's bird wings to me represent the strength of her animal energy, which she has made friends with. The ascending snake that we see here, well, I think that depicts primal energy. And the descending snake, that represents cosmic energy. Now, both of these energies circulate within her. Being present in the lower energy centers is part of the woman's strength. When you are cut off from or not present in the lower part of the body, it manifests as weakness or as an energetic split. Sometimes we have the idea that being centered means being very still. But if you look at this woman who's like doing the belly dancing, then being centered really is a powerful place from which to move, to dance, and to act. And I've said, action that is in alignment with your inner core exudes a sense of strength and integrity. Now, you might be interested to know that the astrology of this card is really Leo ruled by the sun with Uranus exalted. And this is really talking for you to have a real lust for life. She is, for me, the daughter of the flaming sword. There's a lot of Leo energy around here. And it's talking about passion and multi-dimensional creativity. Your talents come into the fore, strength, and you overcoming old fears and conditioning. I think it's quite likely that you could challenge conventional views on what a spiritual path should be like and what qualities are needed to pursue or teach the spiritual way. You are certainly not going to be punished by God, because God has no moral issue about your love life. So have no concern about that. Guilt and self-inflicted punishment are wrong in this case, because you are spirit that has come here to be enfleshed, to come into the body and to enjoy the body. You to enjoy it, not what other people enjoy. I think this could also relate to you having a particular passion for some situation, and it's about you engaging with life to the fullest and being comfortable with your sexuality. I think you should accept your carnal desires for what they are, rejoice in them, but obviously not let them throw you or your life out of balance. Now, it's quite likely that a passionate relationship could well arise here with something of a sexual and emotional intensity. There's also, I think, here the chance that you will be doing something because you actually love to do it and without overanalyzing it. Yeah. Okay, I think what we can say here with you is that if you are ready to accept all which you find in yourself, you will be able to move through everything with deep sensitivity, awareness, love, and understanding. Maybe ask yourself this: what areas of your life would you like to live out more fully? What has prevented you from doing so in the past? Are you ready to deal with this anew? Have these thoughts in mind at this time. I enjoy expressing my energy, my vitality, and my enthusiasm in all that I experience. I am a person of character and strength. I have unlimited creative resources to tap and to express, and I enjoy living life to the utmost. Well, that's what you will be doing. And what a particularly fascinating and great spread of cards. Well done, Pisces. That's the way it is for you this month. Well, there you go, the month of August in 2020 for you, and it looks like it's going to be a great month. And I hope you enjoyed that reading as much as I did providing it to you. It's my great pleasure to provide these readings to you, you know. Actually, if you do want to have a personal reading, check out the information that's in the description box below and you can see how easy it is. But in the meantime, I look forward to seeing you again next month. And until then, always remember this, that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. Until then, it's bye for now.